Hello, welcome to the online lecture. This week we will talk about the immune and lymphatic system. They are actually two systems, but we usually group them into one lecture because they share very similar functions. So for lymphatic systems, they have lymphatic vessels and lymphatic organs. It is very simple, but like a few years ago, I read a news saying that the scientists finally found out the origin of the lymphatic systems. It turns out that the lymphatic system originated also from our brain. In the past for many years, people only see that lymphatic system is like another circulatory system. Is another circulation that work in conjunction with your cardiovascular system. So these two systems, your cardiovascular system and your lymphatic system, they work together to help each other, mainly to help the cardiovascular system to maintain the blood pressure. But they didn't know that there's origin of it until a few years ago they found out that it is originated from the brain. And then there are three functions to it. If we have too much tissue fluid, that means the lymphatic system can collect the extra tissue fluid, and then it can return this excess tissue fluid to the bloodstream. Conversely, if we have too much blood, meaning the volume of the blood is too high, causing a high blood pressure, then excess plasma can also go to the lymphatic system, so that it will help to lower the blood pressure. That's why I mentioned that the two systems work together. And then it absorbs fat from the digestive tract. Remember we talked about this in the lecture, saying that in the small intestine, in the villi, inside the villi we have something called a lacteal. Lacteal is for absorption of fatty acid and glycerol, and then lacteal is connected to lymphatic vessels, and this is what we're talking about. And then for defending the body against disease, yes, there's a lot of lymphocyte, one type of white blood cell. They fight the infection in the lymphatic system, inside lymphatic vessels, in the lymph nodes, and also in the lymphoid organ, such as spleen. We will talk about that now. So lymphatic systems, they are a one-way system, beginning with the lymphatic capillaries. Lymphatic vessels, they are very similar to veins. The fluid moving inside the lymphatic vessels, they are called lymph. Instead of blood or plasma, they call it lymph. Lymph, they are filtered body fluid. They are filtered tissue fluid. And they only move one way. The reason is that lymphatic vessels, similar to the vein, they have one-way valve inside the lymphatic vessels to keep the fluid moving in one direction. Lymphatic capillary, just like the capillary in our cardiovascular system, you can find them in most part of our body. They are small, closed-ended vessels with thin walls. They have a closed end. Unlike in the cardiovascular system, the capillary has no closed end. Basically, capillary is the continuation of all the blood vessels. There is no end. You don't see an end of blood vessels. They are all continuous. So the capillary merge with larger vessel. It means that the lymphatic capillary will converge and become a larger lymphatic vessels. And then the larger lymphatic vessels, they will carry the lymph. I told you that is a filtered body fluid to go into thoracic and lymphatic duct. We will talk about these two in the next slides. Okay, lymphatic capillary. It absorbs excess tissue fluid. I told you that the tissue fluid mainly they are water. What are the solid? The solid, they are nutrient, electrolyte, or oxygen. You can also have hormone, enzyme, or waste products secreted by the body tissue cells. Basically everything. And then, everything except the red blood cell. And then when the body fluid goes into your lymphatic capillaries, we call it lymph. Because when they go into the lymphatic capillaries, like they go through a filter. Lymphatic capillary, when they converge and then they combine to become a larger in diameter, we call the next level is called lymphatic vessels. And then lymphatic vessels, they also continue to merge, and then the largest of the lymphatic vessels, we call it lymphatic duct. Okay, there are two lymphatic ducts. One is on your left-hand side, we call it thoracic duct. Thoracic duct is the largest lymphatic vessels on the left side of your body. It returns all the lymph from the left side of the body, head, neck, or body below, into your left subclavian vein. Left subclavian, sub meaning the under. Clavian meaning clavicle. So it is a vein under your left clavicle. So this is your left clavicle here. So there is a vein under this. Under this we call left subclavian vein. Clavicle is your collarbone. And then right lymphatic duct is the largest lymphatic vessels on the right side of your body. It returns the lymph from the right side of your body to the right subclavian vein. So again, this is the collarbone on your right hand side. So you can see that the thoracic duct is on your left side of your body. Oh, I'm wrong, sorry. This is the right subclavian vein. Right lymphatic duct is here. And then, the right thoracic duct, they only show you the vertical component. They didn't show you where they merge in here. But anyway, thymus and spleen, they are lymphoid organ. Thymus, we call it a primary lymphoid organ. Spleen is the secondary lymphoid organ. We'll talk about these two later. So the larger lymphatic vessel, they are similar to vein. They have one-way valve. I told you that to keep the flow of the lymph in just one direction. Movement of the lymph also depends on the skeletal muscle contraction. For the vein, the venous blood, the blood flow through your vein, they do not have the active pump or active blood pressure generated from your heart to propel them. So how does it work? By our muscle contraction. So both the vein and the lymphatic vessels, when we contract our skeletal muscle, we squeeze the lymphatic vessels or the vein so that the lymph in the lymphatic vessel, they will move, they will go up or down. If the lymph goes down and then it is against the valve, then the valve will close to prevent the backflow of the lymph. But when it goes up, the valve open, then you will allow the lymph to move upward. So it is by contraction of the skeletal muscle. When the skeletal muscle contract, you will squeeze the lymphatic vessel. When the lymphatic vessel is squeezed, then the fluid will go up or down. So that's how we circulate the lymph. That's why doing exercise is good for our body, because when we do exercise, we force our skeletal muscle to contract and relax. And contracting our skeletal muscle will help the movement of the lymph, and also it helps the circulation of our blood in the veins. Edema. Edema is the swelling of your body tissue because of the accumulation of the tissue fluid. It can be due to many reasons. If you have too much fluid, then you may have edema. Or if you do not get enough drainage, for example, if you have a parasite blocking the lymphatic vessels, then you have accumulation of the fluid you may call edema. Edema can be so severe that it may cause the swelling of your leg become as big as an elephant. We call it elephantiasis, which happen commonly in third world country because people usually they don't put on shoes when they walk around, and then a lot of parasites can jump into the body, and some of the parasites they can actually accumulate and block the lymphatic vessels. In this case, body fluid cannot be drained from the tissue or cannot be circulated in the lymphatic system. Then you have accumulation of body fluid, and then you have edema. And then the leg can be swelled as big as an elephant.